Warning, this podcast contains explicit sexual language and should only be listened to at work if you're looking for an excuse to connect with your HR representative. Additionally, all mentions of the word women include cis and trans women. If you are genderqueer, gender fluid, figuring it out, anything in between, and feel like this conversation is also important for you, you are welcome here.
Will you open up with me? These pages, they can feed your innermost desires. Do you feel inspired? Are you getting what you need? Are you coming curiously? A secret safe with me. And here you can simply be yourself. Sweet romance. Come on in, come on in, come on.
Hi, y'all. This is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. And we have talked a lot on this podcast about how empowering and healing romance novels can be. And I am very clear about the fact that I am just a human who reads them, and I have no higher level education on the human brain or trauma or anything. And so I found someone who does, and I am very excited to talk to her about romance novels and how they can be an incredible tool for personal growth, healing, and so much more. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Chloe. I am a sex therapist and certified clinical aromatherapist, and I talk about smut a lot in my work. And I try to undo the taboo effect attached to smut, especially in relation to women who are reading it to heal from past trauma. It could be emotional, gaslighting, sexual assault, abuse, etc. And a lot of women actually turn to erotica, romantasy, dark romance without knowing why, but they still turn to it. Kind of like an automatic reaction to release any tension in relation to their trauma.
Yes. I'm so excited to have this conversation on a deeper level with someone who has studied it. But I should give a disclaimer that we will be talking about trauma. And if you are healing and in a place where you're not quite ready to hear a conversation or witness a conversation between two people about trauma, including emotional relationship or SA, please know that it is completely fine to turn this episode off and come back to it at a later date. Okay. Just needed to make sure that everyone's keeping themselves safe. But before we get into the heavy stuff, let's start a bit lighter. So I'm going to switch my question 1 and 2 because I'm a rebel like that and Sephi hates me for it. But you know what? She's used to it. When did you start reading romance? What was your journey to finding romance as a genre?
It started a long time ago, and it started by accident. And like any teenager who's curious about sex, I was curious about sex. I was still shy around guys. I was very unsure. I was trying to figure myself out. And one day I was talking to a friend. He's like, "You should check out this book called." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "No context, nothing. He did not tell me what it was about." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What's about?" He's like, "Oh, a billionaire." I'm like, "Sounds fun. Okay, I'll give it a try. Why not?" And that was, I went down a rabbit hole with that.
That is also a really poor description of the book. That is not a good description of that trilogy at all. Oh my gosh.
So I was like, it was not very good writing. The writing was atrocious. We can agree on that.
Yeah,
but I was 18. I was 18. I was there for the content. I was like, wow. And then it kind of snowballed into other books. And then I got into this series called Gabriel's Inferno, which is the writing is so much better. I loved it. I still love it to this day. It's one of my comfort reads. And it's just like a professor student forbidden romance and everything. It's contemporary. It's not fantasy. But, you know, for contemporary, it's pretty perfect because I'm always the one saying fantasy is the best. But this contemporary trilogy, or there's 4 books, and I love it, and it was actually very healing. And I didn't know this was way before I knew what it was doing, what was the history behind
Mhm.
it. I didn't understand anything about like the neuroplasticity happening. I didn't understand any of it. I just knew that I felt good reading it, and that was enough.
Yeah. Amazing. Don't worry. We will talk about a lot of books and I will link them all in the show notes.
Yes.
So if you had not heard of Gabriel's Inferno, I hadn't either before meeting Chloe, and I will make sure that you know where to find it. So Gabriel's Inferno is that gateway, that first one that really hit you. And you said you've moved more into the romance fantasy subgenre. What is it about that fantasy that really appeals to you and keeps you coming back for more?
Because it's not reality. Nothing about it is reality. So it's very easy, I think, for your brain to relax in a deeper state into the story because there's nothing rooted in reality, nothing we can associate or understand from our reality. So when we're reading fantasy, it's allowing us to really transport ourselves, and our brain and subconscious are really allowed to relax into the whole setting, even if there's like tough scenes with trauma triggers or some sexual interactions or whatever. It's not the same thing as if it was some sort of like real contemporary modern novel where there's some, you could relate to some of the things happening, like some of the modern aspects happening, and your brain would actually turn on and be like, whoa, this actually sounds like something that would happen to me right now. So it's not, I think it's more therapeutic when you're reading fantasy, and also it's just prettier. It just feels better, and you get to read about fairies and dragons and creatures and flying and magic, and it just allows you to feel more resilient and powerful and hopeful, and because magic gives hope. And sadly, reality just sucks. So it's much better to escape into fantasy.
Yeah. I think there's something about fantasy or even PNR, magical realism set in even in this world that we live in, where you aren't comparing as much to what the world is. When you're reading, for example, just geography, when you're reading about New York City or the city you live in or whatever it is, if you're reading about New Hampshire and someone made a very egregious mistake about the geography of where you are, that pulls you out of the book. That makes you go, no, it isn't. That's not how that works. It can become really frustrating. But when you're in a magical land and things there don't work the way that they do here in our world, it is a lot easier to suspend your disbelief and get taken along for the ride.
Exactly.
I found.
It's easier to get to actually be transported into the story and to have less resistance when it comes to any healing metaphors, themes, sex, relationships, etc. There's less mental resistance. You just seep into it much easier, I feel, than contemporary. I'm sure there's some good contemporary books like Gabriel's Inferno. I thought it was very easy to get into, but also like it's not modern anymore. It's like set like I think
Yeah.
like 15 years in the past, so it's not something that's inherently something you would recognize as today's reality.
I'm
Because
looking, so I still have this up from when we were chatting the other day.
I think it's set in 2009 or something.
So it was written in 2012. So it was written 13 years ago,
Yeah.
which, you know, I don't know about you, but 13 years ago, I was young and innocent and still in my 20s. Like it was a different world 13 years ago.
13 years ago was so much better on so many levels. Like life was so much better. So of course the context and like the contemporary aspects of that book are going to seem less traumatic than if it was a book set to today's modern world.
Yeah.
where you know the political context, you know what's happening around the world, you know about the wars, etc. Da, da, da. There's none of that in like the older contemporary romances or fantasy. There's
Yeah.
still war and violence and fantasy, but it's not real.
It doesn't feel as close to us right now. And I know
No, yeah,
this is a slight tangent, but I feel like you'll appreciate it. A lot of recent contemporary romance, things written in 2021, 2022, there was a lot of pushback from publishing to even mention COVID. You weren't allowed to, as an author, even
yeah,
mention that it happened. And now we're starting to get books that reference it, because what we found is you can't be a modern contemporary romance and not mention this crazy thing that happened to the world. It has affected all of us. And so it doesn't feel honest, and people are less responsive when the stories that take place now don't mention it. And so it's starting to come in, but it's that inability to suspend your disbelief of, well, this happened. It can't be 2025 in a modern contemporary sense if that never happened. So I agree, though it's hard when you are trying to be true to a world, often to step away or not have to put in the things that make the world really hard. Yeah. Okay. So what made you decide to go into sex therapy or become a sex therapist, however you prefer to say that?
I was bored during COVID, very bored.
Okay.
I remember this vividly. I was
Sourdough was not enough for you?
I have no patience for sourdough. I have no patience whatsoever. But I remember this vividly. I was on my mother's bed with her. I had my laptop out, and I wanted to do a master's, but of course everything was closed. But I knew I could do something online, and I found this online university based in Madrid, and they had a master's degree in sexology, and just it clicked, and I was like, why the hell not? Why the hell
That
not?
sounds awesome.
Oh,
Do you
and I
also
loved
speak
it.
Spanish? Did you
Oh
have to speak
no.
Spanish?
No. It's an international online school, but they're based in
Amazing.
Madrid, and you can do your degrees in multiple languages. I'm going to do my PhD with them when I'm ready. Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah. But I did my master's with them in sexology. It took me about 2 odd years to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, and it just, when I was reading the description, it was obvious. I was like, well, duh. Like a light bulb went off, and I'm like, this is what I have to do. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know anything. All I knew is that this is what I had to do. So I just went with it.
Awesome. That is such a better use of COVID than so many of us did. No. I just barely survived and started cultivating a forest of pothos, and you got a master's degree.
And I got to have my graduation at the Madrid Royal Theater in front of the Royal Palace in Madrid, and it was beautiful, and I loved it.
That's amazing. I don't know if y'all can tell, but Chloe is, and do you say Chloe or Chloe?
Chloe.
Chloe. I don't know. You are French.
Yes.
So like I have to respect the accent. So were you still in Europe at that time, or did you fly from the States over there?
I was in the States. I was in New Hampshire, and then I did the master's here, and my
Amazing.
mother did her PhD at the same time as me at the same university.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we both graduated together at the same ceremony in Madrid.
That's
And
beautiful.
oh, it was great. I cried when I saw her walking down like the aisle towards the podium and everything.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then we went to have dinner with the president at the university. We became friends with him. He was like this gorgeous Spanish man. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So we went out to dinner with him. We stayed out until like midnight, because apparently in Spain it's normal to like eat dinner until
That's
midnight.
what you do. So
Yes.
Mediterranean. Everyone who lives like on the Mediterranean, they're like, no, dinner is 10. What are you talking about? Mm-mm. I
No,
can't.
yeah,
I'm
like to him, like he's
too
like, we'll meet
American.
for dinner at like 8:30. I'm like, wasn't that a bit late? He's like, no, that's so early. 8:30, so early. I was like, oh shit.
Was it during your master's that you started to notice the correlation between romance novels and that mental journey coming
No,
together, or healing, or trauma?
that came way later. That came when I accidentally discovered ACOTAR in 2023. And then I went down a rabbit hole of romantasy, and then it like
Mm-hmm.
with ACOTAR, and then it led to Fourth Wing, and then led to other books, and then it just went down, 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 down. And then I was like, why do I feel good reading this? Why is this helping my anxiety? Why is this helping my depression? Why is this helping my triggers? Why do I feel more confident? And so I kind of
Yeah.
dabbled, I try to figure it out, and it's only like within the last year that I really understood the connection.
Would you like to share your biggest takeaways or your biggest connections that you found that have helped you in kind of owning the growth and owning this connection between healing and specifically romantasy and romance novels?
So, imagine your brain is like Play-Doh.
Mm-hmm.
And after you go through trauma, there's like bits of the Play-Doh that's dried up, or that some pieces are missing, or some pieces are not doing too well, or kind of misshapen. And you're living with that every day. You're living with trauma triggers. You're living with trauma symptoms that can appear as a mental health issues or physically. A lot of women who have sexual trauma, those symptoms will appear vaginally, so vaginal infections, UTIs, sometimes infertility, sometimes chronic illnesses, sometimes depression, anxiety, da, da, da. So that lump of Play-Doh in your head, that's what's happening. And when you're reading romance, like romantasy, dark romance, whatever tickles you, that's when neuroplasticity comes into effect. So it's like the effect of the Play-Doh being reworked
Mm-hmm.
as a result of the new neural connections that are happening, the production of oxytocin, dopamine, and the reduction of cortisol in your system. And that's what romantasy and dark romance do. They trigger the release of those hormones because your system feels safe, you're able to relax, and you're feeling like happy emotions, happy feelings, because that's what dopamine does. You know, it makes you feel
Yep.
happy, it relaxes you. It's like the post-orgasm hormone that we all have, and oxytocin, so we feel great because it allows us to live vicariously through the characters and the
Mm-hmm.
stories where we feel like it's happening to us, because our brains are not able to distinguish between reality and fantasy. So
Yes.
all the healing you see happening to the female main character or the male main character, whoever you want to identify with, their healing arc is happening to you too. And whatever tropes around consent that you're seeing happening is literally reshaping what you understand you deserve, what you need. It helps you reset your self-worth as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
There's so much more science happening in there. I can't. It's like I want to say more, but it's like I'm gonna confuse myself trying to say more. But
And if
I'm
you have
actually
resources you want to share, just send them to me and I will put them
yeah.
in the show notes.
Well, I
Yeah.
have my smut therapy starter kit where kind of I explain different books
Yes.
that I love. I kind of like break them down, tropes, etc., and then I kind of explain the tropes, what they do, because different tropes, like the depending on the trope we identify with that we
Mm-hmm.
like the most, it reveals the most about our trauma triggers and what our trauma is and what we actually are taking from that trope specifically. And I'm actually working on a new product that kind of associates sex toys with different books and tropes. And
So
I
if
kind
you
of
find where we can, if you know where we can find a pierced dildo, let us know, because this is something that Seffi and I are on the hunt for, because I think it's so funny.
pierced dildo,
Yeah, because
like
every
what- like
in
what- like a
like a Prince Albert or a Jacob's Ladder. Well, we were talking about it because it's so funny that these are now things that we find in romance novels. So many romance novels now have, well, probably less in fantasy, but more in dark, these
really
pierced pierced MMCs, so many Jacob's ladders, so many Prince Alberts, and we were thinking there's got to be a dildo with
Like,
one. There's got to be
I-
a sex toy.
Well,
with
can't you just buy one and put your own piercing in it?
I feel like I would put the piercing in wrong. I don't trust myself to pierce a phallus
Well,
correctly.
if you buy like a silicone dick, just
Yeah.
get like get I don't know like a sewing needle and just like sew the nose ring through it. I don't know.
I don't know. But like how they make ejaculating nodding dildos, like tentacle dildos. I can't believe there's no pierced dildo out there. Like I don't understand it. That's
You could still make it. There's no risk of infection. You can still make it.
Oh, I know. I probably like get a pierce. You can probably buy like a piercing kit on Amazon. Don't do it to yourself. Only safe for silicone dildos.
And then just buy like Bellisa, like one of those huge silicone dildos.
Yep.
I bought one recently, thinking I was
love
brave enough
Bellisa.
that
I
thinking
love
I could
Bellisa.
actually handle it. It was so I was like,
No, friends. Like I know it's great to think about like a 12-inch monster cock, but like please do this. Do the research. Buy one and no.
Like the
No,
first
thank
one
you.
I bought was too small. I was like, okay, too small. I
Yeah,
could probably go
valid.
bigger. And like the only bigger size that they had, I was like, fine, that looks doable. And then I get it. I'm like, fuck no. There's no way that's fitting. It's like giving birth in reverse. You can't do that.
What I like the ones, they have really good ones for their strap-on set, and they come in like 5, 6, and 7. They don't look like a phallus. It looks like a dildo. It's not penis shaped.
I prefer the
but
penis
those are
shapes.
good ones.
Yeah, I prefer the penis shapes. It just, it kind of,
I'm not looking at it. I pink and sparkly. I'm a little bit like Lark in that way, like pink, sparkly, perfect. That's exactly what I want out of a sex toy. If I wanted it to look exactly like a penis, I would find one.
No, I like anatomy, but also it kind of helps with like the chronic singleness. I'm like, it's kind of filling the gap,
filling the void. Oh my gosh! But I love Bellesa. Bellesa is a great. We're not sponsored by Bellesa. We should.
No,
be,
we're not.
But
I'm using
great.
But I'm using them. I'm using them for my new product. I'm putting only their toys in that product.
I love it
because they're affordable, accessible, and female friendly. So I'm only putting there. I would do Layla, but Layla's kind of like on the pricier side. I don't want to put that much pressure on people.
I love that Bellesa has like a very big range. I got their advent calendar 2 years ago, and I did like an unboxing of their advent calendar, which was really fun. And I got toys and things that I would not have gotten normally, and I'm not mad about it. Not mad about it. So if you don't remember that, maybe I will on this day that when we get closer to that time. All right. So obviously you are not, number one, like I'm very fortunate. I'm not healing trauma with romance novels, or at least I'm not aware of it, or I've read so many that, God damn it, I should be healed. But
it will not replace therapy. It is a supplement tool to therapy.
Exactly. So we are not diagnosing anyone. We are not providing you with medical advice.
No.
But if someone finds themselves drawn to romance, fantasy, dark romance, whatever, what are things that they should know so that they can make the most out of this? Because I feel like also if you have trauma from either relationships or sexual experiences, then I remember I am not the person who is I'm not the person who has a master's degree in sexology, so I will say things that are probably incorrect. But there can be a lot of shame and weirdness and like confusion around enjoying things of a darker nature or a sexual nature or even a romantic nature. And so how would you advise people who are going through that healing process and drawn to romance to overcome these feelings of shame or confusion that they might be feeling along the way?
I will say this. I have this client. When I first started working with her, she was explaining to me, I'm reading these books, and then I found out that I'm really into BDSM through these books. I I didn't know that I was into that, but like the more I'm reading about it, the more I kind of like it. And the more I was talking to her, I found out that she was always the one, very type A, doing everything herself, not accepting help from anybody else, always in charge, not accepting anybody's input or help, whatever, like always taking charge, the load on her back. I'm like, you want to be submissive in BDSM because you want someone to take charge and take care of you and take the lead. And yeah, it's not, and we know that BDSM is not dangerous. There are safe words. It is a safe context. It's not something that you're going to get hurt in it. So you know you're safe, but
Yeah.
you're allowed to not be in charge. You're allowed to let things happen to you and enjoy what's happening to you and kind of get lost in the moment and trust someone else to take care of you.
Yeah. Which is such an apropos thing, as I just spent last week in a kink space learning about kink. And one of the things that was constantly reminded, we were constantly talking about throughout the weekend was in kink, whether it's BDSM or S&M or any sensory play, we might hurt you, but we're never here to harm you.
Exactly.
And that's the difference with a lot of that stuff. It is all consensual. It is all talked about ahead of time. It's negotiated. It's not, or it shouldn't be, unless that's what you negotiated. It shouldn't be a surprise. No one's going to pull something out at the last minute that you weren't expecting, unless you said you can do that. And then even though it's a surprise, it's not something that's going to like push you past your limits. And one of my favorite conversations that we had over that weekend was someone asked specifically, Steffi's going to love this. So sorry, Steffi, that you can't be here for this part of the conversation. It was in an ethical mindfuck class. Like, how do you mindfuck with a submissive or a dominant in a consensual way? And someone in the audience asked, like, would you ever pull out a toy or something or get like that someone has said a hard no to, like said read to or on their list, like, I would never do that. And everyone on the panel went, absolutely not. Even in mind fucking, even if if you were blindfolded and we were using toys and you said no to canes, I would never even pretend that I was pulling out a cane ever, because that breaks the trust. And
it just instills more fear. It's fear, it's cortisol.
Exactly.
It's not the point of the experiment.
Nope. And that's also not what the media would tell you a sadist would do. Like, the media still portrays BDSM and sadomasochism as people who are mean and blah, 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 blah. But in reality, and this is where the media or even romance novels don't always portray the reality. It can be something that interests you. You read BDSM and you think, ooh, that's exciting. Or you read dark romance and the fantasy of it really excites you. And then you go and learn real things if you want to try it in your real life. But one of the things we just talked about is that trust and consent. And even if the story you're reading about contains dubcon, dubious consent, or CNC, consensual non-consent, or just non-con, non-consent in the story, between you and the author, you have consented to being a part of this experience, to reading the fantasy and witnessing this story. And I think there's something incredibly powerful about and healing in this way of, especially if you were gaslit and things in a relationship did not go the way that you were expected or you were told, or, you were led to believe, if you were cheated on, things that were out of your control, or if you were a victim of SA or an attempt, some sort of violation of that trust. The fact that you can read a story and have those experiences with full consent because the author has told you what's coming and you have said, yes, I can and will, is incredibly powerful.
And it's also in a safe context. You're in you're in your environment, you're at home, you're wherever you want, and you can stop whenever you want.
Yes. Yeah, it's essentially, you put the book down, that's your safe word. We're going back to kink.
I also discovered recently that there is a link between how when we read smut and what it does hormonally, it actually impacts your pelvic floor. it actually relaxes your pelvic floor.
I love that.
It stimulates certain hormone production. So if you, for instance, have vaginismus,
Vaginite. Yeah. The tightening.
tightening like that, reading those stories actually relaxes and stimulates blood flow down there. So it actually relaxes your pelvic floor and stimulates blood flow down there.
Smut is good for your vagina.
Well, yeah, it's good for you because it does stimulate like lubrication. It stimulates like arousal. It stimulates a lot of things that you probably don't feel as much, especially if you're single all the time.
Yeah. So how would you suggest women who are looking for either just pure escapism or healing or just that's something that they haven't found yet? Where would you suggest they go first in the romance world? And how would you suggest they approach reading romance as a potential tool to be used along with therapy? Because therapy is great and amazing, and we should continue to use therapy. But how would you suggest that it's used along with that?
I think it should be used as a tool to make you understand what triggers you, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel safe, what actually interests you, what makes you question what you think you deserve, makes you reanalyze your past relationships, dynamics, what happened to you, and how what happened to you, what it is in actuality, instead of what you actually perceive it to be. So romance novels actually put you face to face with your trauma, because all the characters in those stories usually have their own trauma that they're dealing with, that they're trying to resolve, that they're trying to work through. My dog is behind my door. And and when you're going through that, you're actually able to identify your trauma to theirs sometimes, and you get to see their train of thought, what they're going through, and how they resolve it.
That is so cool. I feel like it's almost, you know how you have your best ideas in the shower, or if you're a runner, which I am not, when you're doing something and your mind is just free to be. When you're in the midst of a romance novel, there are, I don't know if anyone else in the world or if you yourself have had these, but there are moments when I've been just in the flow of a story and then a little thought will pop into my head of like, oh my gosh, it's like blah. And it reframes something that happened at the grocery store with a past partner, with my mother, like whatever it is. And because your mind is just whirring all together, it's in this space, it's in this like really excitable, but also pleasant and as you said, safe space. And you have the permission to like let those thoughts occur.
I found my thing about the whole pelvic floor thing. I can talk about that.
Can we talk about the pelvic floor? I love a good pelvic floor conversation. I think about my pelvic floor a lot.
I don't. I should think more about it, but I don't. I don't.
Please enlighten us on our pelvic floor.
So I like to think about it as your favorite MMC or FMC is actually doing more for your pelvic floor than Pilates, essentially, because usually when we think about a tight pelvic floor, it's not usually a very good thing. Not always. It's not what makes you strong, because it often shows up as like pain with penetration, vaginal burning or pressure, peeing all the time or leaking. So when you're doing like jumping jacks and suddenly like, you kind of like pee accidentally, that happens. That happens to me too sometimes but I'm working on it.
Jumping jacks are the worst. If you got big boobs, if you got little boobs, if you got a good pelvic floor, if you got a bad pelvic floor, jumping jacks or burpees. What? I feel like jumping jacks are worse than burpees though.
I don't know. Like I've got like a double D. It hurts anyways. So it's,
No.
But I'm like, no.
No.
But like,
tits are one thing that I thought when I was younger I wanted. And as I'm older, I'm like glad I don't have.
No, I'm so afraid from when I get pregnant. I don't know what I'm going to have for boobs at this point, but I don't know. But it's fine. My husband will be very, very happy with my boobs, and then he'll pay for new ones when the time comes.
That is such a great attitude. I love it. Like, you did this to them, you pay for the new ones.
No, you did this to me, you're paying for new ones.
Yeah, that is 100% valid between you and your partner, as long as everybody consents ahead of time.
It'll be my push
But
present
it is a prenup.
Yeah. So, coming back to the pelvic floor.
Rein it in.
So when you're reading smut, like I said, it actually increases the blood flow there because you're getting turned on, you're aroused, things are happening there, you know, you're becoming more wet. There's more lubrication down there.
Yes.
There's more lubrication. Your oxytocin rises, your cortisol drops, and your body practices what safe desire feels like without needing a partner.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, even though when you're getting ready to have sex, when you're, getting ideally, when your partner is turning you on, hopefully all of y'all's partners who are listening to this do a good job of turning you on. While there is like increased blood flow and things get, like big and puffy and your clit swells, the muscles within your vaginal cavity, they
have to relax.
They have to relax
and open up.
Exactly. Like if they are not ready to relax,
it will hurt.
Ain't nothing going in there.
Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. It's going to hurt. It's probably going to tear. It's probably going to bleed. It's going to traumatize you. You're not going to want to do it again. But that's the importance of foreplay. Like I always say, like, do 1 hour of foreplay, or like do foreplay throughout the day.
Yes, throughout the day. It doesn't have to be all at once. The sexy texts, inappropriate gifts, just
the anticipation, it's like the wanting, the needing, the yearning, etc. That's the whole point of it. It's not like one bam, thank you, ma'am. It takes time to actually get women ready, conditioned, etc. It's not like in the movies where it happens in 2.5 seconds. No. You need like the proper anticipation. That's what happens.
It's more like
smut.
A romance novel. It's going to take you 5 hours of foreplay to get to the smut. Like, depending on when, like, it's 5 hours of reading to get you there.
That's what happens in smut, is like the slow burn. That's what the slow burn is.
I hate a slow burn. I don't want it. I don't want a slow burn.
See, I think it's good. Like if there's like sex within the first 100 pages, it's too fast for me.
Oh, I love it.
Too fast.
I love it. No, nope. I love it. I love it when it's like immediate. When it's like, you know what? Sometimes you just need them to bang it out.
You love Amid Clouds and Bones because the sex happens really fast.
What is it called?
Amid Clouds and Bones.
Oh, wait, you talked about it with me.
I did.
Emma Fields. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's going to go higher on the TBR.
No, like, cause it's like proper I hate you sex.
I love it. I hate you, but I want you sex.
It's like, I hate you, but I gotta have you, you know?
I've been reading a bunch of shifter books. I've been deep in my paranormal. I love an Omega verse. I didn't even know I could want you so bad. I met you 5 minutes ago, but we're fated mates. I love it. I love it when like they can't help but fuck it out. Winter's Arrow was a really good book by Lexi Foss. Was a good book for that, where they meet and she immediately goes into heat, and you're like, well, that's the next like 20 pages. It's just boning. I loved it.
No, but like what I love to do with smut is actually associating it with aromatherapy, with essential oils, because certain essential oils are good for hormone production, for your stress levels, for their aphrodisiacs, etc. It's a good accompaniment to certain smut levels, and like a lot of my work in my products, I actually associate essential oils with certain books, certain tropes, because they go well together, and it kind of enhances the whole experience and actually helps you kind of melt into the whole moment.
Smell can be so powerful. I think
it goes right to your limbic system. It acts
right to the brain.
Right to the brain.
It's why those there are a lot of book boyfriend candles that are very popular nowadays. Like, here's how to smell like
Rhysand.
I was gonna go with someone else, but yes, that's the popular one.
Mhm.
You know how I feel about Akatar.
But like,
So-
wait until you meet Kingfisher from Quicksilver. That's like a whole
that
other.
is, I know. I should read
Yes,
Quicksilver. I
yes.
have 2 physical copies of this goddamn book. I think we're gonna wrap it up because I'm also gonna talk to you in like 3 weeks about a book.
Yes.
So here at JC's Romance, I like to ask every new guest 5 closing questions.
Mm.
And the first question is, what is your favorite romance novel?
Right now,
Mhm.
like it's one I finished recently. It's called Shields of Sparrow.
Oh, no, I had no idea. It's
You
not
had
like we're
no
going to
idea.
talk about it in 3 weeks.
Yes, no, it's I loved it. It dethroned Quicksilver for me because Quicksilver was like number one since late 2024, and Shield of Sparrow has kind of dethroned it, like barely. It's like neck and neck, and I love it. Like the metaphors in that book are amazing. The healing arcs are amazing. He is amazing.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read it now.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Okay, question number 2. Where/how do you prefer to read? Do you have a reading corner? Are you an ebook, audiobook, immersive reading? What is your jam?
I don't discriminate. Like honestly, when I was into my Quicksilver days, I did
Mhm.
Kindle, I did paperback, I did audiobook.
Love
Audiobook
it.
highly recommend because the audiobook for Quicksilver is like legendary. It's wonderful. It will literally impregnate you while you're reading it because it's just it will reach your ovaries as you're reading it. It's like it just goes down. It's
So
so
if you
good.
really want your vagina to relax, if you really want your pelvic floor to open up, listen to Quicksilver.
Listen to Quicksilver. And I love like reading Kindle when I'm in the
Mhm.
kitchen eating, I don't know, eating cookies or brownies or whatever, and like drinking my tea and just, like, because it's just easier on Kindle because I can just prop it on a
Yes.
stand and just like read it, than if it was an actual book. And when I'm in
Mhm.
bed, I like to read like a physical book in bed and I like to highlight as I go and like
I am
mark
a
the
book
pages.
ruiner. A book
And
ruiner.
and then I have my highlighter, I have my bookmarks, and I'm ready, and I'm like waiting for that quote and everything. And
Yep.
I'm like, yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. So we also have this concept here at JC's Romance called comfy sexy. And it's
Mm.
based in the belief that in your comfiest space, in your safest space, you can still explore your sexuality by reading a romance novel. What does the phrase comfy sexy evoke for you?
Like oversized t-shirt, no bra, and sweatpants.
Yes. Never
That's
a bra.
never
Never
a
a
bra.
bra.
And
Never
like
a
it's
bra.
and like when you like the sexiest you can be is like when you're the most comfortable in where you are
Mhm.
right now. It's not about like having that push-up bra or like that skin tight dress. It's about feeling completely at ease, completely comfortable. You're in your fresh sheets, fresh pajama, no bra. You just out of the shower. You did your hair care routine. You have like a face mask on that's setting and everything. And you're just happy your cat's like sitting next to you. It's not visually sexy, but it feels sexy on the inside.
So I feel like that answered my 4th question, which is when do you feel your sexiest? So it's obviously when you just got out of the shower and you did your hair care routine, you've got a mask on, you got no bra and sweatpants on.
Well, no, when I feel physically my sexiest,
Oh, okay.
no, because
Yes.
there's
Comfy
emotional
sexy.
sexy, there's comfy sexy, and then there's physical sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know my boobs are my asset. I'm not gonna hide it. I know I have great boobs, and I love to flaunt them. And I love to give guys blue balls. I know it's so bad to say, but I love to do it.
I love that so much.
And I don't want to be mean, but I love the power of knowing I can do that to a man, and then pull back
Yeah.
and then just walk away. I know it's
Yeah.
mean, but like it's like I've been it's like when you have like a really like a dick in front of you, like a really like annoying, stupid guy, but you want that. But like as like punishment, he likes you, he finds you sexy, but he's still like a really big dick. And so you're like, I'm gonna have fun with this, and I'm gonna give him like the biggest blue balls in his entire life, and just walk away. And I love it when I see the look on his face when I walk away, and he's like completely paralyzed from being so teased and just like brought to the brink, And I'm not doing it like in a vicious way. I'm just like, normal flirting and
I've
everything.
absolutely done it in a vicious way.
No, I can't do that.
I've done it in a vicious way that somewhat for like, there's one instance that I'm thinking of, an ex who was like, oh, but you're so hot and I still want you. And I'm like, but you treated me terribly, so I'm going to fuck with you.
I love that though. I'm
gonna fuck with you. And I did. And I have no regrets.
I did that with an ex situationship once.
It's great.
That's the best.
I love that.
The best sexting of my entire life. It was amazing.
I love everything about that answer. Everything about that answer.
It was the best sexting of mine. I still think about it to this day. But he was just like the biggest dick. I only do this to like men who are just horrible human beings. I will never do this to a kind, honest, gentle unicorn of a man. I would never do this to Harry Styles or Pedro Pascal. Never do that to them. Never. But like, no. I feel my sexiest when I know that I do that to them, and then I walk away, and my boobs have served their purpose.
Mine's my ass. My ass has served its purpose. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I love that answer. I love that answer so much. Okay. As we wrap up, what is the last thing you want, or like the one thing you want women to know about sex and sexuality? I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, but you might call it your soapbox thing if we haven't mentioned it already.
I would say that sex is subjective to your definition of what sex is, and that nobody is entitled to judge or misinterpret or reinterpret what your definition of sex is. If that definition is what is serving you, what's bringing you comfort, what's making you aroused, what's actually guiding you in your sexuality, then that's your definition. It should not be taboo. It should not be shamed. And anybody who tries to shame that definition of what sex means to you is someone who is uncomfortable with that definition, and that says more about their insecurities and their traumas than it says about what you should interpret your sexuality to be.
I love it. Thank you so much, Chloe, for joining us. As I have said many times, we are going to put all the things that we talked about in the show notes. So go to jacereadsromance.com where you can find all the show notes for this podcast. I will link where you can find updates from Chloe. But if people wanted to follow you on the internets, where might they find you?
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram.
Only Instagram for now, but I'm going to start my podcast soon-ish. Yeah. Not sure when, but soon. And maybe I'll have you on my podcast too.
I would love to.
It's my handle is just one word. It's Her by Chloe.
And I will make sure that is also linked in the show notes so you can find her. And she is also on Threads. It's Instagram and Threads.
Yes.
That's how I found you through a Threads post.
Yeah, they're linked.
Connected.
Linked. Yes, they're connected.
If you are a Threads person rather than an Instagram person, she's on both. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you had fun. I had a blast.
I had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And for everyone who listened, who loved this just as much as I did, come back, because as I hinted, I will be reading Chloe's favorite romance novel, and we will be discussing it in a few weeks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Jace Reads Romance is a 3 Paws Productions podcast. Produced by Seffi, edited by Michael Achenbach. Our theme song is written and performed by Diana Weishauer. For show notes and more, head to www.jacereadsromance.com. That's JAYCE Reads Romance. Follow us on socials at Jace Reads Romance everywhere. For more exclusive content, visit us on Substack, where you'll find extended episodes, bonus episodes, and more. Have a question, story, or a book recommendation you know I'll love? Email Jace at jacereadsromance.com or call and leave a voicemail at 661-JACE-RR. That's 661-529-2377. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And as always, this is Jace, holding space for you.